Off the southern coast of Australia, the ocean can look perfectly calm right up until it isn't. The surface erupts in a burst of spray and muscle as a great white shark rockets out of the water, twists mid-air, and crashes back down like a living torpedo. Somewhere beneath that white flash, a seal vanishes into bubbles. For a heartbeat, the sea feels quieter, as if even the water has been reminded who runs the place. Now for the uncomfortable thought. What if the ocean's top job isn't owned forever, just rented? Great whites have worn the crown in modern waters for a reason. But if Megalodon returned to modern seas, the great white wouldn't suddenly become harmless. It would still be a nightmare with fins. It might just feel like a champion who's heard a much larger fighter is walking into the arena and the lighting has shifted. So let's treat this like forensic work. Evidence first, drama later. Start with 2 teeth on a table. A great white tooth is triangular, finely serrated, and sharp enough that your skin wants to step back on instinct. Megalodon's tooth is the same blueprint, only scaled up to something closer to a butcher's blade. Thick, heavy, and built for jobs that end quickly. Small evidence, big warning. Size is the obvious headline. A modern great white can reach around 6 meters with large individuals weighing over a couple of tons. Megalodon reconstructed from fossils is commonly estimated around 15 to 20 meters. That's not a bit bigger. That's moving from large predator to small bust that hunts. Bite force estimates also jump a tier. Great white bite force varies by study and bite position, but modeling often lands around the high tens of thousands of newtons, commonly cited near 18,000 newtons at the back of the jaw. For Megalodon, published modeling estimates are far higher, with some widely repeated figures around 182,000 newtons. Even allowing for uncertainty, the gap is the point. The great white is the high-performance sports car, and Megalodon is the heavy freight truck that doesn't need finesse if it makes contact. Speed matters too, but not the way people assume. Great whites can burst fast and turn tightly using that stiff muscular tail like a spring. A Megalodon-sized body would be less agile, more like a cruise missile. Steady, unstoppable, and happiest when the target can't dodge. Big predators don't need tricks. They need momentum in the end. But hunting isn't only about bite force. It's tactics, senses, and the kind of prey you're designed to handle. Great whites are specialists in fast, clean ambush. They often strike from below, using the bright surface glare as cover, hit hard, then pull away, letting shock and blood loss do the rest. It's ruthless, but it's efficient. A great white understands energy economics. Why wrestle when patience will win? Around seal colonies, it's the classic hit and fade. Offshore, it can switch to fish, to opportunistic scavenging, to whatever keeps the engine running. And it comes packed with sensory equipment that feels borderline unfair. A great white's sense of smell is famously acute. Its hearing picks up low-frequency vibrations. It has electroreception, tiny organs called the ampullae of Lorenzini, that detect faint electrical signals from a living animal's muscles. So when a great white looks like it's cruising casually, it's actually reading the water like a map written in invisible ink. It isn't guessing. It's scanning, triangulating, closing in, and doing it with the calm confidence of a predator that's done this 1,000 times. Megalodon, being a shark, likely had the same baseline sensory tools smell, hearing lateral line vibration, sensing electroreception only mounted on a far larger frame. If the great white is a radar dish, Megalodon is the entire control tower. Fossil evidence also hints at a different target list. Bite marks on fossil whale bones match the size and serration patterns of megatooth teeth, suggesting Megalodon targeted large marine mammals, big, fatty energy, rich prey that could pay back the cost of being enormous. That's important because a predator that huge doesn't get to eat whenever. It has to eat enough. That matters because a predator the size of Megalodon doesn't win by chasing everything. It wins by making one strike count. A sensible strategy for something that big isn't a long sprint. It's disabling prey, damage a flipper, cripple movement, take away speed, Underwater, once a large animal loses momentum, it stops being a target and starts being a situation. And this is where the fear changes. The hunt doesn't have to be loud. It can begin with a pressure shift you feel more than you see a shadow sliding through green water, than a single impact that turns the prey's escape plan into a slow-motion problem. Now drop into a brief point-of-view moment, nothing cinematic, just plausible. A younger great white patrols the edge of a seal colony's hunting ground. It reads scents and vibrations like subtitles in the dark. Then the water ahead dims not from clouds and not from depth, but from a massive body moving between it and the light. No charge, no dramatic lunge, just presence. In the ocean size is a language. Great whites speak in speed and angles. A returning megalodon would speak in gravity. Even a confident predator learns new manners when the room gets bigger. So, could Megalodon hunt great whites directly? In a pure one-on-one encounter, the size gap is brutal. A full-grown great white is a serious apex predator, yet next to Megalodon it becomes a medium-sized competitor. Megalodon wouldn't need to outplay it. It would only need to decide whether it's worth the effort. And that's the key point. The biggest threat to a great white isn't necessarily being eaten in a dramatic duel. The bigger threat is being pushed aside, outcompeted at food sources, displaced from prime hunting zones, forced to change where and how it feeds. Because the hardest part of the Megalodon Returns thought experiment isn't the fight, it's the menu. A 15 to 20 meter shark isn't living on occasional snacks. It needs massive, reliable calories week after week. In Megalodon's time, oceans held different prey communities and warmer conditions across wide areas. Modern oceans still have whales and other big animals, and some populations have rebounded in places, but today's ecosystem is not the same banquet table. Prey is widely distributed, migrates long distances, and shares the ocean with industrial fishing, shipping noise, and changing habitats. A giant predator doesn't just need power, it needs a food economy that can support it. There's also the temperature angle people forget. Great whites can tolerate a broad range, but they often patrol productive temperate zones and use deep dives, coastal shelves, and seasonal migration to stay in the right window. A creature as massive as Megalodon likely relied heavily on warmer waters for efficiency, especially if juveniles used coastal nursery areas. In today's world, warm water often means busy water coastlines full of boats, nets, and noise. So, even if Megalodon's biology worked, its lifestyle would collide with a modern ocean that's crowded in ways it never evolved to expect. Meanwhile, the great white's diet is more flexible. Seals, sea lions, large fish, carrion, and the occasional whale carcass. But if a super predator shows up, the best feeding zones become danger zones. Great whites might shift towards smaller prey, scavenge more, or relocate, and we know predators can be displaced by higher-level threats even today. In parts of South Africa, when orcas target sharks, great whites have been observed abandoning prime areas for extended periods. If orcas can cause that kind of disruption, a true supersized competitor would reshape behavior on a much wider scale. Once great whites move, dominoes start falling. Add a new apex predator and prey species adjust. Whales alter migration routes and nursery choices. Seals cluster differently. Mid-level predators shift hunting patterns. Those changes cascade down the food web. A returning megalodon wouldn't just take bites out of animals, it would take bites out of the system's balance. In ecology, the biggest changes often aren't explosions. They're small nudges that stack up until one day the whole system feels off and nobody can name the single moment it tipped. There's a human knock-on effect too. If great whites are displaced from traditional offshore hunting zones, some may patrol new coastlines and seasonal routes closer to places where humans swim, surf, and fish. Not because the sharks become meaner, but because ecology forces overlap. Humans love to interpret shark behavior as personality. Most of the time, it's logistics. Follow the food, avoid the bigger threat, adapt. The shark isn't plotting, it's commuting. And then there's the management headache. Great whites are protected and monitored in many regions. Marine reserves and fisheries are already complicated. Add a colossal apex predator that modern policy was never designed to budget for, and you're recalculating risk for shipping lanes, tourism, commercial fishing, and conservation all at once, while the ecosystem itself shifts under your feet. It's like rewriting the rulebook during the match, except the stadium is the ocean, and the rules are written by biology. So, who wins? If you insist on a direct encounter, Megalodon's advantage in size and bite force is overwhelming. The great white's smartest move wouldn't be heroics, it would be avoidance. Picture a whale carcass drifting scent spreading for kilometers like a dinner bell. Great whites arrive first, circling, taking measured bites, confident but cautious. Then, Megalodon arrives if it existed, and ownership changes instantly, not because of a dramatic battle, but because every animal in that water understands the new math. The great white doesn't have to be killed to lose. It loses by stepping back. But dominance in nature isn't awarded for winning one fight. It's long-term pressure. Who eats enough, who reproduces, who holds territory, who avoids injury, who outlasts scarcity. In that long game, Megalodon's biggest challenge wouldn't be the great white. It would be the modern ocean itself. Prey, distribution, competition with orcas, and human impacts in a world that's noisier and more stressed than the one it evolved in. Megalodon might win moments. The question is whether it could win decades, and that's the final twist. The scariest outcome isn't Megalodon eats a great white. The scariest outcome is that the entire ocean rearranges itself around a creature that large. Because the deep truth here isn't about fantasy monsters. It's about what nature has already proven it can build. The ocean once produced Megalodon. The blueprint existed. The energy pathways existed. Evolution placed that gamble, and for millions of years it worked. So, if a giant from the past stepped back onto the modern stage, it wouldn't just dethrone the great white. It would expose how fragile today's balance really is. Not with a roar, not with a jump scare, just with a shadow passing under the surface, and every other predator quietly deciding to give way.